You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all the men with power want? More power.
My name is luca-zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a dream. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM and also 104.1 FM. Another Sunday, another show. Well, I know many of my listeners, probably they are from overseas, more and more over the internet. We have listeners from Europe, England, Germany, Italy. And I always say this show is a local radio station. We serve the tri-state area. But at the same time, I'm so pleased that through the internet, I've been able to reach people from around the world. Because the reality we are facing here in Arizona, in America in general, it is not just our own problems. It is everywhere. The same reality. This is not about left or right. This is not about, Democrats or Republicans, conservatives or liberals, how you want to call it. It's about freedom or complete serfdom. Between freedom and slavery. Yes, it is. People say, it is no more slavery. We passed that. Guess what? This is not true. Government is still the master. And more government we have in our life, more you realize that you have many less freedom in whatever you can do. That's why I'm not really into politics. I don't consider politics like an abstract concept. I consider politics the way we can regain our freedom. Politics the way you can keep the earning of your labor. How you're not going to be robbed by the majority, stealing through government what you earn. That's what it's about politics. That's why we should get involved. It also means about how I can live my life. How I can be left alone. That's what it's about. And by the way, premise, you already know, I'm not a Republican. I burned my Republican card proudly. And I say proudly because I can't stand Republicans anymore. You think that I would have voted for, a Bush, or for, one of these McConnell, or whatever. What is that, the loser, Speaker of the House? I don't even want to mention his name. I will puke. I would probably vote first for a dog before I vote for any of these McCain or people like that. Yes, there are still some Republicans out there that somehow they deserve respect. Not many, but there are some. The Democrats, most of them, they are lost. But my point is, I always believe there is there an individual. And I don't want to talk about party. I don't want to look into party. I look at them as a person. I had people on my show that were Democrats that I respect. Very few exceptions, but I respect them. I may not agree on everything when it comes down to socioeconomics, but at least there's some principles that we share. So my point is this. This show is not about partisanship. I couldn't care less. Honestly, I would give you more hard time if you're a Republican than you're a Democrat, because I demand more from you. At the same time, I'm here. My goal is pretty much to just give you a platform. And I invite everybody. So I wanted to tell you something. Today, normally I do my shows with different type of guests. We go to topics that are pretty much universals, They don't just belong to Mohave-County or to Arizona. We talk about things very important. Like when I had, for example, on my show, the former NSA whistleblower Leo Biasucci, or other important guests at national level. But today it's a show that is going to be reflecting our politics, at least the first part of the show, in Mohave-County, especially in District 5. My friends probably around the world say, what do I care about this? Let me tell you why you should care. That's the way we can, I really believe, take our governments back, take our rights back. We need to get involved. We need to get regular people doing extraordinary things, or at least trying to do extraordinary things, and be involved in this big dirty machine that is called politics. I look at politics like almost like a sewer. Think about it. It's a dirty place, stinks. And you have a beautiful jewel, just dropped by accident in this sewer, and you don't want to lose it. It's called freedom. It's there. Somebody got to do the dirty job. You got to stick your hand in the dirty sewer. Guess what? That's where, when regular people, they are no professional politicians, they need to get involved. And that means everywhere, guys, not just in Mohave County, Arizona. If you're in Scotland, if you're in Germany, if you're in Italy, please get involved. That's the last chance we have to take our rights back. Now, let me shut up. Let me bring a guest that I met probably a couple years ago on the show when he was running for Green Party for the state of Arizona as a state representative. This year, he's changing a party platform, or at least party affiliation, and he's running for the Republican. And as I said, I will give the same opportunity to anybody else who's running against him. I already gave an opportunity to Jennifer Jones to be here. She had her time. I know that I have another another representative that already is in office, Paul Mosley. By the way, I despise. That's my personal humble opinion, but I still would like to invite him and be civil with him. If he wants to come, more than welcome, and we can talk. And by the way, Mosley's done some decent things. Besides that, I may personally despise some of his personal behavior, but that's another story. I still want to give credit about some voting records. Regardless, let me shut up. Let me bring Leo Biasucci, that is running for state representative for the state of Arizona for District 5 as a Republican candidate. Leo, are you there?
Yeah, ciao, Luca. How you doing?
Okay, man. I hope I didn't scare you out. I'm not gonna bite
no,
you. Okay?
I was about to hang up. I said, "Uh-oh, you know that I'm a Republican now?"
Yeah, I mean, listen. As I said, I'm a pretty civil person. I have a big mouth, but I'm civil. I was very happy to see one of my freaking safety classes. You're a great guy,
yeah.
And as I said, we may agree on things, or we may disagree. And even when I disagree with people, let's say Paul Mosley, I'm always civil. Okay. So I'm not here to bite anybody, okay? That's regardless. We talk freely, but we're civil. Anyway, listen, let's go ahead. First of all, go ahead. I give you the floor. I shut up.
Well, no, the first thing I want to say, that's why I like you, Luca, because you always say how it is. You stick to your guns, you stick to your beliefs, and you listen to everybody. So that's one thing I enjoy about you, and that's all. I think that's all we ask for in politics, really, right? Is just people. Me being a representative or running for a seat in the House is, it's in the title of being a representative of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, a lot of times when people get elected or when they run, they kind of lose sight of that and they kind of have their own personal agendas. And I think we see that in the U.S. Congress and in the Senate and in politics in general. You see a lot of people, once they get in, they run on a platform, and the next thing you know, they're self-serving. They're doing things that they want to do for themselves, and that's probably the one thing that frustrates me the most, is because you're supposed to listen to the people. You're supposed to see what the needs are for your area. For District 5, which I want to represent, it doesn't make sense for me to not show up to as many meetings and as many events throughout the city and listen to the people. And so that's probably one of the biggest reasons why I'm running for this position, is because I want to bring that back.
Okay.
I want to bring that.
I have a question.
Environment.
I have a question. Yeah. A couple questions. First of all, probably the most normal question everybody would ask. 2 years ago, I had you on my show. We had a great conversation. Yeah. With a lot of things we agree, maybe some other things we weren't still sure. But regardless, you were on a flat platform called Green Party. By the way, I have a lot of things I believe, every normal person that I think is normal, unless it's crazy, they would like to preserve our nature, it's normal. But, you were on a very, pretty much unique platform, especially for Mohave County. Green Party, Mohave County, never heard it. Now, what happened? Right. Why did you change? Why did you transition to a Republican platform, at least affiliation? Why?
Yeah. So, when I first got started in politics, I was extremely new to the field, to politics in general. I mean, I followed politics, but I didn't really understand, a lot about my core values. I didn't even understand really the Green Party full platform until I started running. And the main thing, I think, and I talked about on the show, was, I was concerned about, the water, which has now become a big deal,
mm-hmm.
And, education. And so I jumped incorrectly into that party, kind of thinking, well, that's really the extent of it. Well, when I started to run is when I started to meet with people. I met with, Regina Cobb and Senator Borelli, and I met, even with you and Hildy Angus and, just people amongst the community. I'm on the Planning and Zoning Commission in Lake Havasu as well as the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. So you start to really get involved, and you start to figure out who you are as a person. And so, I'm sitting there, and it was funny. I was actually sitting there one day with Representative Cobb, and I was kind of asking her questions about running, and she's grilling me a little bit about how I feel about this and how I feel about that. And she actually stopped me and said, "Look, Leo, what are you doing in the Green Party? I mean, you're more Republican than anything. I mean, you believe in border protection, you believe in gun rights, you're pro-life. I mean, all the things. I don't understand why you're in that party." Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a wake-up call for me because, when you start to hear that from the outside, and I go back to my core beliefs. I was born Catholic, Italian family. My parents are both from Italy, and we have the family values and part of the Catholic Church. And I really go deep, and I realize, wow, you're right. When I really think about where my core beliefs stand, I'm in line with the Republican Party, easily over any other party. And really, that was the point. It was about 2 years ago when that happened, and I switched literally on election day of 2016 because I realized finally, hey, I know where I'm at now. I know where I stand.
Okay.
But it takes time. You got to learn and understand politics, and I think that's a big thing in my age group. I'm 36. The millennials, the people below me, a lot of them are brought up in this environment of, universities and very liberal. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but a lot of times you don't do the research. You read the headline, you run with it, and that's really what got me to understand where I stood.
All right, very good. This is good. I mean, at least nobody's, we're not static. We always things in movement. Myself, I learned a lot of things I didn't know 6 months ago, maybe 5 years ago.
Exactly.
And sometimes I was wrong, and I say, I was wrong. Or at least I changed my mind. That's okay. I mean, at least the good thing that we open to improve ourselves. And as I said, it's always relative because, we think, our truth is the truth, but maybe sometimes it's just our personal opinion, but that's okay. At least we try to do the best according to our beliefs. Now, a little bit about you, because, I always like to know the background, more not for me, but for the voters, because after all, most of the people that are running for office, especially in Mohave-County, they are retired people. I mean, our state senator right now, Sonny Borelli, is a retired Marine. We used to have mostly people who were retired when they stay representative. Some of them, they are working class people. I mean, but mostly retired person. You're kind of unique. As you say, you are a millennial. What is your life trade, or what do you do for a living?
Yeah, so I'm a business owner. So I own Mojave Traffic School, which we teach traffic school if you get a speeding ticket or a DUI. Mm-hmm. We are contracted through ADOT to provide those classes for people who get a citation or a DUI for the state of Arizona.
Okay.
So that's the main business. And then I have also we own a mini mart in Desert Hills in Lake Havasu. And so really, like I said, I'm the opposite of a politician. I'm a businessman who wants to get into politics because I feel like we need more businessmen into other than politicians in the politics. Okay. So,
that's good. It's at least, you have a different background from the average older guy. I'm nothing wrong against the older guy. I mean, they have their own side, the good part, experience or whatever. Honestly, you know what? I always like to think that, unfortunately, these positions in the state of Arizona government, since they're not really well paid, compared to other states like California that you make 100,000 or more, here you make barely the money to pay for the gas if you have an expensive car. Okay,
24,000.
Yeah, I mean, you must have other way to support yourself, and that's tough. I understand. Sometimes, honestly, I have responsibility with my business. I couldn't leave it behind. But I'm glad you can do it. I mean, you're able to manage it in case you get elected to leave behind your business in Havasu. Were you able to manage that?
Yeah, and that's the good news. I have the things in place because I run a lot of the financial side of it, so I'm doing all the business financials, so I can do that from afar. And really, I have to come back every weekend, which I plan to do if I get elected. That's not a problem for me because I know that's part of the job is to come back and forth, and you gotta juggle both things. So.
Okay, let's go straight to the point. Come on, why by the way, I want to give a little warning out there. Intentionally, I could have been voting, registered independent, but just because I really want to be more than, especially when I've been hosting this show for 5 years now, and when I realize that even it's a local show, I want to do the best I can. I am in a position that I cannot even sign your petition. That I'm not even independent. I am no party affiliation. So I am as neutral as you can get. So I want to be sure people understand that if I have a Leo Biasucci on the show and maybe I may say a couple of things nice about him or maybe bad, doesn't matter. I have no position really to do anything. All I want to be here giving a microphone to you like I would give to anybody else. So let's be very clear. I could even sign your petition even if I wanted to because I'm a no party affiliation. I chose this situation. That's fine with me. Now let's talk about this. Why you should be put in front, why a voter in our district should vote you beside, between the other competition. We have Paul Mosley out there that has already been in office 2 years at least. Then we have another candidate, of course, that we know, Jennifer Jones, Esposito, and I don't know if there's anybody else, but I know that you're there. So what do you have that other people don't have? I'm a voter. Give me the 3 minutes sales pitch. Come on.
Yeah. So, honestly, Luca, a lot of times in politics, you don't usually challenge an incumbent, especially in the Republican Party, in the Republican area. Usually that doesn't happen unless somebody's not doing their job, somebody's not representing the people like they should. And for me, being born and raised here in Lake Havasu, this is my hometown. This is, my grassroots, families here, businesses here. And so for me, it's important to make sure we have representation at the state level that truly represents the people. And so, when I got involved, I started to talk to the people. I started to talk to, whether it was the police chief, whether it was the mayors, whether it was the business owners, whether it was, the doctors. And the biggest thing and the biggest reason I jumped in is because they all told me, number one, they've never heard from the representative, and number two, they don't even know what they look like. They've never had that connection or that contact with our representative. And that bothered me because I said to myself, wait a minute, as a representative, you represent the people. And when you're at the state capitol, you can't know everything about everything. I don't know enough about law enforcement. I don't know, I own guns. I don't know everything there is to know about guns. So when there's a bill that comes across my desk, I want to make sure that I can call, the police chief in Havasu, Chief Doyle. I can call a business owner. I can call a gun shop owner. I can call a doctor and say, hey, bill's coming across my desk. It's going to affect your industry. What do you think? And that doesn't exist, in my opinion, right now with our current rep. I think that they're making decisions on their own. Specifically, one of them is making decisions on his own without even consulting the people. And when that happens, that's when I think everything just goes down the drain. That's when the swamp gets created. Because now you're talking about people who think they know everything, and they're going to vote their way regardless of what you think or how you feel.
Leo, I respect that. Don't get me wrong. I like the fact that you want to keep a communication with your constituents. At the same time, I'm sure you have some core values that regardless what the mob tomorrow may say, because tomorrow, let's say we have a bunch of people moving from, Mars, that they say, you know what, Leo, we the people decide that in the state of Arizona, we don't want any more guns. After all, we are the people. Well, guess what? We got to tax 90% of the idiots out there that work all day. Not because the people say that means that you're supposed to follow everything the people says. What I want to find out now really exactly, not just for me, but also for the constituents, what are your, core values that you never compromise? It's good to learn. It's good to have an open mind. I'm with you. Sometimes but sometimes I say, you know what? Sorry, these things I'm not going to bend. Let's start from, I'll give you a short list, okay? This is now no more a 3-hour show. I had to put it down a little bit because I'm busy. So I want to go through fast. First of all, let's start with the basics. Taxes. Are you going to raise any taxes? Because they always want more money. For example, let's specifically go now with the 20% increase for this red for ed. I call it communists for education from these educators. By the way, they have a great job. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I know in the private sector, I work in the private sector. We are business owners. You tell me anybody in the private sector that would get 20% raise overnight, that's I never heard in the private sector. It would be a miracle. It would be honestly a tragedy. Right. Okay, we go out of business. Yeah, so you tell me, would you ever consider to raise taxes to fill up some of these big holes? By the way, money always seems like to be the solution, but I don't see solution. Education, we pour money and money, and still people seem to be stupid out there. So tell me, would you raise taxes? Would you at least approve this 20% increase in education for ed? Yes or no?
No. And I'll tell you why, though. I want to give an explanation on why I would not raise it. Because I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm a money guy, so I'd like to make sure that we have money if we're going to spend money. And so in this situation I come from a family of educators. My mom taught for 30 years. My uncle was superintendent of schools for 10 years. Cousins, they all teach. But you come to the legislation 2 weeks before session's over when the budget's already done and demands a 20% raise. I don't like that. That's not how it works. What you do is you go to the table and you figure out, okay, what do you need? What can we do? How can we make it work without raising taxes? We got to find a funding. So if we really believe that, because I'm either way, I can say, okay, fine, teachers, they deserve whatever it is, but I don't like the way it was done. I mean, you don't do that. You just say, we'll have a forecast of this much money coming in, so let's do it. That's not how it works. I mean, you don't run a business that way. I mean, you gotta make sure you have the money. So for me, I don't like to raise taxes at all, because I'm somebody who believes in low taxes. I believe that.
Okay, and also 20% overnight, I think, is a little excessive. I don't care how they cry. I mean, when they accepted the job, they knew how much they were getting paid. And, they want to compare their salary with somebody from California. Let's also compare the cost of living that you have in Arizona.
Exactly.
I mean, let's not forget that. All right, good. Okay,
exactly.
Move to the next.
I agree with you 100%.
Okay, we got that. Now, number 2, we're talking about a lot of, let's say gun legislation as gun control, and of course, they're always trying to blame on the gun.
Sure.
We know the story. Yes or no? Would you approve any type of new gun regulations, gun control at state level? I don't care what happens, because, after all, we may have tomorrow another school tragedy that, by the way, we know that school gun-free zones. If you really want to blame it, let's blame it on the policy they have there. But regardless, would you approve any type of gun control, reasonable, as they say, at state level? Yes or no?
No. Because the gun doesn't kill the person does. It's like a car, right? You don't sue Ford manufacturer because you got in a wreck.
All right.
It's the person behind the vehicle.
All right.
And I'm a firm believer in, that the mass shootings at the schools have nothing to do with the guns. They have to do with mental health. They have to do with parenting. I mean, it bothers me that they try to push it on the gun all the time. And that's never true. There's no good argument for that.
All right.
Blame the gun.
All right, very good. Okay, let's go to the next. Now, sale tax over the internet. I had this conversation with legislator in the past. I had former Senator Ron Gould that we were on this one, and he was really good about it. My point is very simple. There is a lobby out there, especially in Phoenix or other parts of Arizona, of regular, mortar and brick stores that they try to push to create a sale tax for all the internet businesses in the state of Arizona when they sell cross state lines. Of course, we're talking about cross state line. And the reason is that, since the regular model business is going to somehow lose business because there is the internet out there. I said, I don't want to be very, very upfront here. I have several internet businesses, so I'm not going to try to play, shy here.
Right.
My point is very simple. I mean, we already have some sort of a federal ruling about that if somebody buys from across the state lines, we should not be compromised and make them pay the sale tax. That's the bottom line.
Right.
So, but there is unfortunately this movement that they will try to pass for internet business a sale tax, no matter if the sale is across the state line. And the reason is always trying to defend the business that they do not want to adequate to create the internet presence. Whatever, that's their choice. Now, questions for you. Would you accept this sort of lobby, or at least advices from business that they would advocate to create a sale tax for the state of Arizona, no matter if this transaction comes from across the state? Yes or no?
No, I don't believe in having a sales tax at all for online purchases.
Okay. All right.
Like I said, I don't think more tax revenue is the solving of everybody's problem.
You know what happened? I'm sure. I'm glad you're smart, because some people don't understand it. That many business would just pack and go to Vegas or to Las Vegas or Laughlin. My next thing I said, okay, if that's what you do, I'm gonna buy real estate in Laughlin. I'm gonna move all my businesses there and screw the state of Arizona. Yeah. Simple as that.
I'll give you a perfect example too. Is look at Seattle real quick. Seattle passed a law that every employee the city of Seattle had to pay into a tax. Mm-hmm. That would pay for homeless shelters and homeless people.
Yeah.
No, they were forced. And so what happened? Businesses moved out of Seattle.
Yes.
I mean, it's a simple. I mean, you can't control that. I mean, it's a disaster waiting to happen when you try to do something like that on the people. Absolutely.
All right, very good. Listen, we got a lot of things here in common. I like to hear that. You're fiscal conservative. You're pro-Second Amendment. That's great. You understand that taxation is the power of destroying, not to create. That's great. Right. Now let's go things that probably we may be a little bit of disagreeing, and that's okay. As I said, this is a good show. Yeah. I like it. You consider yourself a Republican. I am more of a, fiscal conservative, but let's say moral libertarian. Okay. Now, right. I have a simple question for you. Who owns our body? Us as individuals or the government?
Hopefully you do.
Okay.
No government should ever own your
body. Good.
Body.
So that's good. At least we got that straight. Now, if I truly own my body, okay, do we agree on the concept that I should be able to do everything I want until I infringe on somebody else's right? So let's say, for example, yes, I own my body, but hey, I don't want to be liable or create a danger to somebody else's. Let's say, for example, right now I'm in front of my office, in my studio, I got a bottle of red wine, I'm enjoying it. Right. I know that I can have fun with my red wine, but I would never allow myself to jump in the car because that would be a danger to others. Do I agree? Right. It's a pretty simple concept, right? We agree on that.
Right.
Top,
and you'll be in my class.
Exactly. I will be in your class. I don't want to be there. And by the way, I'm very proud that in 19 years in this country, I never had even a speeding ticket, okay? I'm a saint.
There you go. Well done. Well done.
Compared to what I was in Italy, I was a wanted from the city of Rome. But now that's another story. All right. So that's good. That's good. We got that in good, straight. Now, if that's our principle that we agree, why?
Right.
In the privacy of my home, in the safety of my home, I am not allowed to grow a plant that would endanger my liberty and also my property, because I could have my home confiscated, and this plant is called, in this case specifically, marijuana. And by the way, let me tell you something. I despise marijuana. I don't even smoke. I don't even like the smell of marijuana. But I always come to the point, it's not about me. This is about the concept of freedom. If I'm allowed to have a bottle of wine in the privacy of my home, since I can afford for the bottle of wine, why some people that would enjoy to smoke the freaking plant, they are not allowed to smoke a plant without going to this freaking medical card and blah, 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 and just enjoy it as a pleasure without government permit? So, my question is, would you allow the individual, always with the respect of the laws that we just said, to respect other people's rights, that means, not be intoxicated in public, to have, buy, or even better, grow a plant of marijuana in their home? Yes or no?
Right. So my biggest issue with this, and you know that it was on the ballot 2 years ago, right, to legalize, and it lost. And I'll be honest, I voted no for that because of this one reason specifically. And that is, right now, as far as I know, and as far as when I asked certain, police enforcement, is let's say you smoked a joint in your own home today.
Yes.
Okay. I'll throw you. Let's say you smoked a joint, maybe 2 joints today, and then 3 weeks from now you got in a car accident, and then they decided to test you to make sure you weren't whatever. Let's say they thought you might have been impaired, and marijuana shows up in your system. So now you have a problem, because did you smoke the joint the day you got in the accident, or did you smoke it 3 weeks ago? The test right now, as far as I know, cannot determine when that joint was smoked. You know what I mean? So for me, it complicates a lot of things. It complicates the legal system. It complicates the court. And for me, that's tax money being thrown down the drain, because now you have someone saying, well, I smoked a joint, that was a month ago. but it usually stays in your body for a long time, 30 days or something.
But wait a second. I understand, maybe there is some reasoning that I'm not saying that is not true. At the same time, you have now big pharma that they are patenting the marijuana as a synthetic form, and that's okay. You can take that.
Right.
Or even better, let's say you can take it as medical. So you have the state already say, okay, as a medical, because we recognize there's some validity in the medical purpose, you can do it. So at the same time, we should not even have it as a medical, because the same person who's driving the car may get in an accident a month later, and they still can have some sort of residual. I think it must be a better way. I mean, if we're really going through to Mars, we should have the technology to find out if you're really intoxicated or not. Am I wrong?
And I agree with you. And I don't think anything should have been passed until everything was figured out first, in my opinion. Because I agree with you. I think, whatever you want to put in your body, that's your choice. I don't care what you do, as long as you're not harming somebody else.
You pay with your money. Let's not forget that. I want you that people pay with their own for the crap for their money. Okay, I'm not pay for them. Okay, at least I understand. And as I said, we don't need to give much more. If that's what you think, I respect that. My only point is the concept. If we truly on our body and we can prove that we do not endanger others, I believe that it's not right that we should lose our business or our home, because these laws against the drugs, they can come and get your home, get your car. I mean, it's ridiculous. They find a plant that maybe even just a seed flew with the wind in your garden, and they can come and raid you like you are, Al Capone, and they can SWAT team you and probably, confiscate your car and your house. That's what they do now with this drug law, and they're very scary. In my opinion, it's a very perverse system. Okay.
And again, wasting tax dollars by doing that.
All right. Okay. You were against, and that you got your motivation. That's fine. Let's go to the next thing. Things that we may a little bit different, maybe. Since you consider yourself a Republican conservative, I'm a kind of the libertine independent. Okay. Now, prostitution. Prostitution. Come here. Listen to me. Don't go away. Don't hang up. Okay. Listen. Let me tell you something. In all my life, I never went for sex for money. Okay. I never had to pay. Thank God. So this is not about me. Try to, like Senator Borrelli said. You know what? You're trying to. I had him on my show a few years ago when he used to talk to me before. He got mad at me, but bottom line, I asked him the same question. He tried to play a funny joke about, if I wanted to start a new business, and I said, no, I'm not a politician. I said, but regardless, I have no problem with Borrelli. I think he's a great guy. He's a funny guy. I'm not fond about him, but some stuff, but I still think he's a funny guy. I like him. Okay, let's talk about prostitution. Now, we just said before, we own our body, not the government. Now, my point is very simple. You can go tonight in Havasu. It's a beautiful town, a lot of bars, a lot of beautiful girls. They will probably, I don't want to be descriptive, but, have a not really romantic. I mean, you can go in the bar and have sex for free. Let's put it this way. Pretty simple, unless you're completely, terrible idiot. If you're a regular guy, it's pretty simple. We live in America, and it's easy to find a reciprocator. Sex for free. Now, so you can get it for free, but the moment that somebody's going to charge you, that's going to be a crime. My question is, why is that? I mean, especially because if you think about it, maybe for a woman, a guy who works in the fields or a handyman sells the labor of his hands. And a woman, maybe that's all she can sell. That's her trade, okay? My question, why we do not allow prostitution legal like in Nevada? Would you support that type of legislation? Yes or no? And if it's not, why?
Yeah, I personally would not support it because I agree with you. The same thing, right? People, they have the right to choose what they want to do. If they want to pay for sex, that's their choice. But the problem is there's so many factors involved in prostitution. You have trafficking. You have women that are forced into the job that because I agree. If it was just cut and dry, would that all disappear? I don't know.
Wait.
But
let me stop you a second. I don't like to interrupt you. I'm going to give you the microphone, but just you said something very important. There are women that they are forced into the job. Yes, it's true. When this is a clandestine underworld market, it's called the mafia, the pimps, and all this stuff. That's why I really truly believe if you put this in on the open, that is just another job. All these figures, like for example, drugs, I mean, you put a marijuana that's supposed to be a plant like grapes, illegal, guess what? You're going to have a lot of drug dealers out there. But the moment it becomes like legalized, all they're going to go out of business because you can grow the plant in your home. Same story with prostitution. If prostitution is just another job, as much as I hate the word license, because I believe that they're kind of a right that the government sell it back to you, but still, let's treat it like every other business. You got your license, you got your permit, you got your, health department control. I think the pimp, they're going to disappear. This forced prostitution market or human slaves market is going to disappear, because after all you have to do is call the cops. Hey, by the way, this person is trying to force me to do something I don't want to do. And the cops, instead of beating you up or charging you for prostitution, they're going to say, wait a second, you're right. You try to do your business. Let's go arrest the bad guys. So let's not mix up the illegal prostitution, what could be the legalized form of prostitution. So give me another reason why it should be not good, please.
No, I mean, for me, it's just, honestly, for me, it's a moral thing. I mean, I don't believe in paying for sex. I mean, I just grew up, Catholic, I believe.
That's great. I respect that. I respect Leo. I respect that. I was born in Rome. I'm not Catholic, but I respect that. I understand what you're coming from. But wait a second. Do we need to legislate morality? Are we going to become the next Iran police, moral police? Because after all, your morality is what preserves you, your spirit, or according to your belief, to your next life. Okay, but let's say somebody doesn't belong to the Catholic. Let's say, for example, I am another religion, okay? And for me, my soul is going to be my business with my gods or whatever I believe, okay? Why should you should force your religion's belief into my life when there is no danger? I'm not in danger. Anybody else, especially we're talking about two adults over 18, okay? I'm not talking about underage sex, and we all agree on something. We have a contract, or verbal, doesn't matter, it's still a contract. We agree on a transaction. There could be even a sexual service. Why? I understand, I respect your belief, you got your personal religious belief, and you probably would never do that. But maybe other people say, I don't believe in your God, I don't believe in your Pope, so I want to go with the prostitutes, leave me alone, Mr. Biasucci, okay? Think about that for a moment, okay? I'm just trying to give you that type of perspective. Why should we legislate morality through government?
It's a good point, and I understand where you're coming from, absolutely. In my opinion, I agree you shouldn't push that on, but I believe that there are certain areas, like, for example, Pahrump, Nevada, right? It's legalized. You can have sex with a prostitute. And so, for whatever reason, that city doesn't believe in that it should be illegal. So in my mind, I'm thinking people move to places, they move to cities, they move to states because of their laws, and if they like how the area is, they like what the rules are, they'll move there. So, in my opinion, I think Amsterdam, there are places that want to do it, and if people agree, then they also have the choice to move wherever they want to follow their beliefs and follow their morality. And so, for me, I just think, it's hard for me to be okay with it, just because, like I said, deep down, I agree with you.
Wait a second.
Their own choice.
Have you ever been to Pahrump lately? I mean, to see the prostitute area? Because I've been there many times. I go there not for prostitute. I go to train at Frontside Nevada Firearm Institute. But let me tell you something. When you drive through Pahrump, you're not going to have women, open their skirt in front of you, say, come here, and, we give you a discount. I mean, it's a very regulated activity. There are only some parts of Pahrump that, honestly, I don't even know where they are. I've never been there. As I said, I don't spend my money with prostitutes. But my point is, it's not something that you can say, okay, we go to Pahrump, we're going to be surrounded by ladies, naked. No, it doesn't work like that. I mean, honestly, I've never seen a prostitute in Pahrump in my life. I heard that there are places that you can go there, but that's it. So there are some regulations, like, for example, you got zoning, you're famous in zoning, you work at the city of Havana, so there are regulations they need to follow, and there are some very strict rules they cannot follow. They cannot even disclose their prices in public. I mean, I had on my show a couple of years ago the most famous legal prostitute, Air Force Sammy, She could even tell me how much she could charge me for the night, okay, over the phone. I mean, think about how much regulated is that, okay? So my point is, as much as I understand what you're trying to say, doesn't work like that. Yes, I'm sure that people may say, I live in the city of Havasu. I don't want to think that we don't have prostitutes. Guess what? You're going to have prostitutes anyway, because they're not going to tell you. They're going to be legal prostitute, and probably some they're going to be underage prostitute, and maybe they're all going to be forced prostitute. I mean, this is a reality that belongs to human history. Right. The first probably job that humanity had was a prostitute, okay? I mean, they were selling something. Right. So anyway, I don't want to have a debate. I mean, this is your opinion.
And I respect you. I respect your opinion, and I respect exactly and I understand where you're coming from.
Just remember, you're Catholic, that's great, but you may serve a district that may be also other beliefs. Some of them may be, absolutely, Christian, other values, or maybe Muslims, or maybe, I don't know, whatever, atheists, I don't know, whatever. But the point is, religion is a personal belief. The goal we should have, respect each other. That would be, each other's right. Okay, we'll move to the next.
I agree.
Let me hit you hard with this stuff. I know you don't like it. Gambling, okay? If the government really believes that, after paying my fare, I hate that word, of taxes, these are my money, why they should tell me that I cannot spend my damn money at the casino if I want to? Why gambling? It's illegal unless, of course, I cross the tribal Holy Land. That is a joke, of course, because after all, it is still in the same area of Arizona. If it technically is a sovereign land, I can go to Laughlin, spend my money, I'm okay. I can go to an Indian casino, I'm okay. But if I want to go to create a casino in the state of Arizona, I would never have the permit. Why? Do you support legal gambling like Las Nevada or not? And if not, why?
No, I agree with you. I think that gambling, I don't like the restrictions that we have for gambling here, in my opinion. I mean, I think that, for it to say, okay, the tribes can do it, but we can't, I don't agree with that at all. I think that if you're going to open it up, you should open it up. I mean, obviously you got to have still the regulations and laws permitted with the gambling, how it works and everything, but I agree. I mean, I think that, I personally believe that it's, like, I look at Havasu and I see the islands. I've always thought, like, man, if you could allow just even that area to have casinos, you would boost the economy tremendously. I mean, it would be a game changer.
Yeah.
And so, no, I agree with you. I mean, that's, it's along the lines of, you could say, again, with the morals about gambling, but, I agree with you on the aspect of, it's your choice.
You know what is funny, Leo? I work hard for my money. I hate gambling. I don't even gamble at $20. maybe if I go with a 25 cents machine once in a while, I spend $5, I feel bad, okay? So it is not about me or you, it's about the idea. If we truly believe that we are free and we own at least whatever is left of our money after taxes, we should be free to waste them or invest them the way we like it. And of course, responsible. If I waste my money, I shouldn't apply then after, for benefits, okay, for welfare.
What's funny too, Luca, is, I go to a lot of these clubs, right? I go to the men's Republican, the women's, all these various clubs throughout Mohave-County. And every day you're gambling in those clubs. You have the 50-50 raffle.
You're right. You're right.
There's some type of gambling happening all the time.
Yes.
And so, it's funny to me that, when people say you shouldn't allow it completely, I mean, bingo. How many organizations do bingo throughout our cities and counties?
That's true. That's true. Very true.
And so, I agree. I think it's your money. You should do what you want with it.
All right, very good. Now let's talk about something that was in the news. And as I said, every time I bring another name out, I welcome anybody we talk about it. So in this case, I will going to spell it out. Representative Paul Mosley. In case you're listening, I know you not really like to be on my show. You blocked me on Facebook a few times. That's fine. That doesn't matter. I still love you, even I don't really, but that's okay. I want you on my show. I will be respectful, I promise, and I'll give you the time to talk. Let's talk about this soap opera that I read in the newspaper about your signature. They were at the gun shop of my friend Patrick against all enemies. And you tell the story, because, I read it on the news. I just want to give it a chance to you to tell what you think happened according to this article. What happened exactly about your signature, and why you think Paul Mosley was involved? If he was involved, we don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. Tell me
Right.
the story, your version.
Well, so, and I'll share with the public too, because I think there was some misinformation about the signature sheets in the first place. So you can leave a sheet with somebody who they will then vouch. I mean, they'll get the signatures for you. So a lot of people said, well, how can you leave sheets and get signatures that way? It's not legal, but it is. If somebody gets them for you, they sign the back of the sheet, and that's a way for somebody to get, especially if they support you. So with Patrick, I went to his store and I gave him my sheets and, talked to him for probably about an hour, just because he wanted to know what my platform was, and I respected that. Before you vouch for me and you get signatures for me, you're going to want to know who I am. And so, apparently Mosley came in about a week before, and Patrick said, look, I didn't like him. I didn't like his beliefs. I didn't like what he stood for. And so I took the sheets, but I didn't agree to take signatures. So he put mine up there instead of his. And this is what Patrick told me, by the way. And Patrick said he came back in a few weeks later, was angry that my sheets were there and his weren't. They had their little conversation, whatnot. And then the next thing you know, Patrick said, I didn't want to deal with it anymore because he, was done giving him his reason of why he supported me. He walked in the back, came back out, and my sheets were gone, and Paul was gone. So at that point, when Patrick called me and told me this, I told Patrick, said, look, give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay, call him, text him. Maybe he took it on accident, because Patrick said he had it in his hand and he was looking through my signatures. And he said, and I said, maybe it slipped on the ground, maybe it got mixed up in his paperwork, maybe whatever. Give him the opportunity to it, because I always believe that, you have to look at both sides. You want to get somebody else's perspective, or their side of the story. You never know what could have happened. So Patrick did that. He called him. He sent him messages on text messages. He sent him Facebook messages. It's now been a month and a half, not a single reply. And that's what makes me mad, Luca.
Wow.
That's what makes me mad, because I don't even care about the signatures, because I had over 1,000. I had the most signatures, right? I mean, I worked hard. I got my signatures. People helped me. I appreciated that. Those signatures, I didn't care about that. What I cared about was that he didn't even have the goal to call him, or at least to say, you're crazy. I would never do that.
Wow.
I would never take a sheet. It's nuts. Maybe it fell on the ground. You're crazy. But for you to disrespect, Patrick's a veteran also. I have the utmost respect for that man. And you're going to call him a liar and say that he took yours. I mean, that's what angered me the most about the whole situation. Because be a man and at least call him. You should at least call him and said, you're crazy.
If somebody called me thief, at least, the minimum I can do is say, what? Are you kidding me? I mean, show me the proofs. I mean, weird. I agree with you. That's a
normal response. And the reason I didn't, go to, file reports and whatnot, I was like, I thought to myself, I'm not going to waste my time on this. And if he doesn't have the integrity to at least call him back, I mean, that itself just shows you the character. And that's what bothered me the most about the whole situation, is the complete disrespect for a business owner and a veteran business owner.
As a person, even if you're not an elected person, by the way, you should live by higher standard, I agree with you, but as a man or a woman of integrity, somebody call me, I call you back, especially if I'm in business, I call you back. Then if I have some accusation, I'll call you back 3 times.
Absolutely.
I don't even want to talk to you over the phone. Let's talk face to face and let's trade it up in a civil way.
Right.
Tell me what's going on.
Right.
I understand. Okay. By the way, as I said again, we always give the chance to the other side to bring their side. So, Representative Paul Mosley, seriously, I'm not kidding now. I welcome you more than ever to be on my show to defend whatever happened to you, why you didn't want to return a phone call from Mr. Patrick Boham. By the way, I don't want to disclose it because everybody knows already, but me and Patrick, we work together on many issues, okay? We do gun classes, and he's also my general manager for U.S. Arms. So this is nothing like, oh my God, funny business. No, this is on the open. But I don't care. This is now completely separate. As I said, I separate myself from what I do in life. This is about now the truth. Okay, perfect. Okay, so good about that. Let's talk about now the people who are already in office. Okay, and we have, of course, Representatives Paul Mosley. Then we have Senator Sonny Borrelli, and then we have Representative Regina Cobb. Now, I want to know what you do not agree with them. Not what you agree, but I want to say, okay, let's start with Paul Mosley. What you really are disappointed what he did in the last 2 years. Let's talk about things that you do not agree with him. What you would like to change differently from him. So say, okay, I'm going to be there. I will do things different for what he's done.
Yeah, I mean, I think with him, the main thing for me was he wasn't a team player at all with Senator Borrelli and Representative Cobb. I mean, which is, you got to be a team player to get anything done in this, especially for rural Arizona. I mean, the Phoenix guys are always bullying you around. They're always trying to, push laws that are going to help the metro areas and kind of just ignore the rural areas. And so, you had a bill, the Mohave-County Electric Co-op, which I'm sure you're familiar with them out in Mohave County. And they were trying to pass a bill that, would say that the money that was left over, if somebody moved from Mohave County that was part of the co-op, they moved out of town and they had some money left over, they would try to get a hold of the family and say, hey, you have this money left over. Well, after a certain amount of time, that money would go back into the co-op, which eventually the co-op it's owned by the people, right? That money goes back to the people. And what was happening was that money was actually getting sent to Phoenix, to the state government. So they were taking the money. They were saying, no, we have the right to this money. You guys don't have the right. And Paul voted no on that bill. Or actually, he didn't even show up. He voted no, and then they rewrote some things that he wanted, and then he didn't show up to vote the last week of session.
Okay.
And the bill lost. It actually got voted down.
Wow.
And that's a perfect example of you're not doing what the people want, because the majority of the people in that co-op, they wanted that to pass. They wanted the money to stay in the co-op.
I want to be fair here. Sometimes, I stick by my principle no matter what the majority says, because let's say sometimes people go crazy. 51% of people say, we want to take your money. Screw that. Right. I'm going to vote against it. Okay, so doesn't mean sometimes.
And I think that the issue with this one was, and this is why I prefer, local control, is the money either stays here or goes to the state.
Okay.
And I think it should stay with the people.
All right. Very good. Now, tell me about Representative Regina Cobb. Is there something that you say, you know what, I wish you did differently? I don't agree with you.
Yeah, I like Regina, and I think she's done a great job. But of course, there's bills I don't agree with, and I think one of them was the home-based business bill that luckily Senator Borrelli killed. But that bill was pretty much saying that Phoenix, there's a situation in Chandler with a home-based business, and what they were trying to do is they were going to say, okay, anybody in the county or anybody that has a home-based business can have 3 employees that are non-family, as many family members working there, and the city ordinance would not apply to the state law. So pretty much your neighbor could have a mechanic shop next door all hours of the night, and the city couldn't do anything because of this bill was saying the state has control over the city, which I don't agree with. And personally, I think and she and Mosley both, I think, voted in favor of that, and I didn't. Obviously, I don't agree with that. I agree on Sunny's side, and I agree with the mayors and everybody else in town there, and even the people. I brought this up to different clubs and to my constituents, and they all hated it. They're like, I don't want a mechanic working in all hours of the night next door, and the city couldn't do nothing. They couldn't do anything about it.
Wait, there are always some basic laws that we already have on the book, regardless the city permits. If somebody does a nuisance or let's say disturb the peace, that's not going to fly. I mean, that's right there. We have laws for that. You know that. I'm sure you know that. I mean, regardless of the state or no state, if you make noise, I can prove that you make noise in not reasonable hours. Guess what? You're going to get fined, and probably you're going to have a lawsuit coming to you. Okay. I respect that. Now, let's talk about Senator Borrelli. What is something that you did not agree with him? You would have done better.
Say what?
Something that you did not agree with Senator Borrelli voting record the last couple of years.
With Senator Borrelli, he's a lot of things that I think he's done is done well. I mean, he's done some stuff with the medical marijuana as well, with testing, or even with the hemp bill. I'll go to that one because that was the one where which got through now, the legalizing the hemp.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's fantastic.
I know that, and I'm glad you did that. Tell me something that you do not agree. If there is, maybe say, I like everything about Borrelli. I love him. That's fine. We move to the next question. Anything you don't like about Senator Borrelli?
No, I'm trying to think right now because I think he's done a lot of good things. Maybe, even with the billboard bill,
Mm-hmm.
I think that I agree that he picked certain cities, but could have gone further? Probably. I mean, he probably could have. But even with that one, so it's hard. To tell you the truth, I can't really think of much.
All right,
I'm sure
fine.
there's something out there.
That's fine.
But
Listen, you don't need to get. If there is none, it's great. I mean, I'm glad you go along. Maybe if you get elected, you're gonna have a great team down there. Okay, maybe you're gonna have lunch together. That would be fun. Okay, listen now. As usually, we're at the end of the hour. This is pretty much. I thought we were gonna be less. We got the hour done. I always want to give you the floor for the last, message in the bottle for posterity in case you get elected or not. Doesn't matter. You're gonna have the floor for the last. I give you 1 minute, whatever you want to say. Mr. Leo Biasucci, a hopeful state representative of the state of Arizona, District 5. You got the floor. Go ahead.
Thank you, Luca. And, I think the main thing I just want to end on for everybody is, I think it's time for, and I think this showed with Trump, with President Trump, is trying to get people in the office that were not politicians, that were a businessman, which I am. And I think it's important to have people who are from here, that are, understand the issues of the people and more importantly, they're going to listen to the people. And that's something that I truly believe in. I believe that we need to have people in office that are going to be transparent, are going to be open, are going to respond to emails. They're not going to block people when they just disagree with them online. And I think that's important. I think it's important that that I understand that I'm here for the people, and I'm here to listen, and I'm here to relay the messages that to the Capitol. And so I just hope that people understand that with me, you're going to get a hometown born and raised businessman and not a politician. So just remember, Leo Biasucci is a little long, so if you just look for the Leo, I'll be the only Leo.
Okay, Leo, what is your website? People want to reach you out. What is your website? Yeah,
it's my first and last name, so it's Leo Biasucci, so it's Leo, B as in boy, IASIUCCI.com.
Perfect.
So it's LeoBiasucci.com. Simple. I'm on Facebook too, so feel free to get a hold of me if you have any suggestions, anything you want to see changed. Like I said, I love listening to the people. I love hearing what they need or what their opinions are. So
very good, Leo. Don't go away. Stay there. Let me close. Okay, stay there. Okay, guys, you've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna. I want to remind you, this show is not about left or right. It's not about Republicans or Democrats. It's about, we say whatever we want. This is complete freedom of speech. And the only reason why I'm here is because I can exercise that. So I want to thank K-Talks, of course, to allow me to say the craziest thing that I never could be allowed to say on any other station. More important, I want to thank you for your support. I don't go out, begging for sponsors because, I don't want to compromise what we can say on the show. So I really ask for your support. You can support the show going to www.zanna.us, download any of my 100 songs on Amazon.com, buy my erotic poems book or my other books out there, or maybe just, getting my Zanna coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. Differently from the government, I don't steal your money. I ask politely, and I always give you something back. You've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom, and God's willing, I'll talk to you next Sunday. Ciao.